Hello, you're with Vanessa and Andrew from Yogi Moksha. Thanks so much for joining this practice today, which is called Beginning Yin. And we've designed this practice really for people who perhaps are new to yoga, or maybe you're an experienced yogi but new to Yin Yoga. And we're going to be going through some of the basics in this class. So the postures are not too tricky or too advanced. Hopefully they should be accessible to everybody. We do sometimes use props in Yin Yoga, so it's handy to have a block or a bolster to hand if you've got those. If you don't have them, you can always use a book, perhaps a rolled up towel or yoga mat, a blanket. The props we really use to help support the body and make postures either more accessible or a little more advanced. So it's handy to have those when you're beginning a Yin practice. Yin Yoga is a functional style of yoga, so we're less concerned about what it looks like and more concerned about what it feels like. So as we enter the postures today, I'll be talking about where you should be feeling something. So don't be too concerned if you don't look exactly like Andrew or I as you're entering the postures. You may be a long way sort of further into the posture, or perhaps not as deep as we are. And either way, that's completely fine. As long as you're feeling it in the target area, then that's what we're looking to achieve with Yin Yoga. In most of our classes, we do commence with a little bit of centering or breathing at the start of the class. That's just to help us come into the room and prepare for the practice. So I invite you now to find a comfortable seated position. It might be on a block, or perhaps you're seated on a mat. Gently bringing the gaze down to the floor, or if you're comfortable, closing the eyes. We're just going to take a couple of minutes here to focus on the breath. So perhaps starting with a big deep inhale and exhale. Maybe do that again. And just start to let go of any thoughts or worries that you may have in your mind at the moment, turning the attention to the breath. Natural inhales and exhales, don't try to force them. And with your next inhale, maybe just try to make it a little longer than the last one. So breathing in, taking that little sip extra of air, and making your exhale just that little longer as well. Slowing down the heart rate. We're triggering the relaxation response here. Just a few more breaths. And getting ready now to commence your practice. Gently blinking open the eyes, removing any props that you may have. We're going to come into a stretch for the toes and also the neck, so both ends of the body to start with. So we're going to come to a kneeling position, just tucking the toes underneath. Now this can be quite painful for some people if you're not well practiced in toe tucks, so just try to bear with it if you can. It's really great for the body. And then we're going to allow the neck to fall to the left hand side. So we're stretching through the toes and also right down the right hand side of the neck. I think Andrew's demonstrating from the side so you can get a bit of an idea of what it looks like. If you're feeling too much in the toes, then you can always lean forward and put your hands on the mat just to take a little bit of weight out. But we're not here for very long today. Just breathing in and out. One more deep breath. And then we're going to take the head back to the center and allow it to fall to the right hand side. So this time stretching out the left hand side of the neck. Remembering if the experience in the toes is getting a bit too much, then you can always lean forward and take a little bit of weight out, as much as you need to, or release the toes altogether if you really can't hold the position. We aren't here for very much longer though. So just focusing on the breath can help us maintain our stillness in the posture. One more breath. We're going to bring the head back to the center and then just releasing those toes. We're going to stay in a kneeling position, but allow your toes to come untucked. And then we're going to allow the head to fall forward. So this time around, we're feeling a little bit of stretch in the front of the thighs, in the quads. For some people, they'll be feeling a lot of stretch in the front of the thighs. And we're also stretching out the back of the neck this time. So again, just breathing here. We've only got about a minute in each stretch for the neck here, so it's not too long at all. Okay, and then just bringing the head back to the center and now allowing it to fall back. So we're stretching out the throat and the front of the neck, just as far back as you feel comfortable. Maybe picking a spot on the ceiling to look at. Helps keep our balance. Ensuring the shoulders are relaxed here. We have a tendency to hunch them up towards our ears, so just allow the shoulders to relax. We're only here for a couple more breaths now. Gently bringing the head back to the center. And we're going to come off the knees now, so coming to a seat. Going to bring the feet together in front of us into what we call a butterfly pose in Yin. So this is a stretch for the groin, primarily the inside of the thighs. You want to bring your feet together, but they can be any distance away from the body. So some people like to bring their feet right in close to the body. For other people, they need to move their feet a bit further away. That's completely fine. As long as you're feeling something down the inside of the thighs, then you're in the position. So once you've found your correct distance, then just rounding the back over the body. So by doing this, we also get a bit of a stretch down the back of the body. The muscles running down either side of the spine and maybe even into the neck. And in Yin Yoga, we have 3 principles that we like to follow. So one is to find your first edge in the position. That means the place where you're feeling something. Then we become still. Challenging as it is to remain still, the whole point of Yin is really allowing the muscles and connective tissues in the body to stretch. And so if we're fidgeting around and constantly moving position, then we're not really getting the most from the posture. So we become still, and then the final principle is to remain in the position for some time. So it really takes a couple of minutes before those connective tissues start to really relax and lengthen, glide across each other. So that's why we hold the postures in Yin, usually from, well, anywhere really from 2 right up to 6 minutes, sometimes even longer. In some of our other practices, we might hold positions up to 10 minutes. But generally, we're looking at 3 to 4 minutes per posture. So hopefully you have managed to find a position where you can be still. You might find over time as you hold in the position, gravity starts to allow your body to sink a little deeper. Maybe you're rounding a little more through the spine. Maybe the knees have dropped a little more towards the ground. So those types of movements, or moving when you feel that you may be causing yourself injury, of course, then by all means feel free to move, come out of the posture or adjust your position. Those types of movements are completely fine. But where you can, just try to be settled and allow gravity to do the work. So that's 3 minutes in this posture. So gently moving back to an upright position. And we're going to be coming into our first rebound for today's practice. So you can do that either just sitting comfortably, or you might like to lie back on your mat. What we want to do is allow the body to really feel the effects of the posture that we've just finished. So coming to a comfortable position and taking your attention to the area that we've been working. In this case, that was the inside of the thighs and also the back body. So maybe just noticing what you're experiencing in those areas right now. And as much as we might like to stay there, we do need to move into our next position. So gently bringing yourself back up to a seat, legs out in front. We're going to be working the hamstrings in our next posture. So keeping the left leg straight, you want to bend the right leg You can either bring it into the inside of the thigh like I'm doing, or if it's more comfortable for you, then you can also flip it back behind you like Andrew's going to demonstrate. And you may already be feeling a bit of a stretch down the back of the leg. To intensify that, we're just going to fold over that leg. So folding over the straight leg here. You could come forward any amount. As long as you're feeling something in the back of the leg, then you're in the posture. So making yourself as comfortable as you can here and then becoming still. If you have a prop, you might like to use a block to rest your head on. You could also rest your head in your hands if you wanted to. Just remembering that we're coming to an edge that we can hold for the duration of the pose and then becoming still. And we're going to hold here for some time. So as we linger in our yin poses, we initially allow the muscles to relax. So we're not sort of actively stretching out the back of the hamstrings like you might do in some other forms of exercise. We're really trying to allow the back of the leg to relax here. When the muscles relax, then the connective tissues, the fascia in the body, tendons, ligaments, all start to lengthen as well. It helps us become more flexible, more mobile. It also sends signals within the body that these are areas that we're using and therefore need to remain active or, I guess, remain in a condition so that they can be called into action when needed. So that's the magic of this practice, is the postures that we hold really remind the body to send its rebuilding processes to the area that we're working. So one more breath here. We're going to move slowly to come back to an upright position. We're just going to switch to the other side. So as you come out of your postures in yin, do move slowly. We've been holding the posture for some time, so you can feel a little fragile. So again, we're going to be working the back of the leg, the right side this time. So straightening that right leg, bending the left leg either up to the inside of the thigh or behind you, depending on what your body allows, and then folding forward over the straight leg. So you should definitely be feeling something up the back of the leg in this posture, remembering we're trying to relax the muscles and just allow the pose to do the work here. Feeling something at the back of the leg, maybe even up the back of the body. Some people can feel it more on the left or right side of the back, depending how their body is structured. So if you're feeling it in the back as well, then I guess that's an area that is a little tight, and that's going to be benefiting from lengthening through this time that we're holding this pose. Just remembering to breathe while we're here. Again, as you settle into the pose, you might find the body starts to open up a little. Your torso is perhaps sinking a little closer to the floor. So just allow that to happen and then return to being still. We're here for just half a minute more now. And slowly pushing back up and coming back to lying on your back again for another rebound. So just making yourself comfortable, turning your attention to the area that we've been working, the back of the legs this time. Just noticing what you're feeling within the body in that area. Sometimes after yin poses, we can find that the body's a little tingly. Might be hot or cold. When we turn our attention to the area that we're working, we often notice what sensations have been stimulated within the body from that pose. Slowly moving back to an upright position now. We're actually going to be working the front of the hips next, the hip flexors right at the top of the thigh. So if you've got a block or a bolster handy, what we're going to do is try and lie down on our back with knees bent and pop that just underneath the hips. So I think Andrew's going to show us with a bolster if he can. And I'll use a block for today. So we want to put something underneath the base of the spine, under the hips, right down near the sacrum. Once you're in that position, then you can bring the left leg in towards you, so taking hold of the left knee if you can. And then we're going to straighten out the right leg. So we're starting this time with our right hip flexor. So you're looking to feel a little bit of sensation down the front of the right thigh, right at the top in front of the hip. So finding your pose, allowing the body to relax here, become still. If you're feeling a lot of tension in a particular area, just start to direct your breath to that area and notice what effect that has. So maybe you're feeling that stretch down the front of the thigh. For some people, this could be quite a lot of stretch, especially if you do a lot of sitting. The hip flexors can become quite short and tight. So here in this posture, we're lengthening it out. So maybe just try sending your breath or thinking of that area as you breathe. I should have probably mentioned, if you don't have a block or bolster at home, then rolling up a towel or a blanket can work very well in this pose. Or even using a firm pillow. You want to be supported and stable under the hips. And perhaps start by being not too high, but as you practice this over and over again, you might find that you're able to increase the height under your hips. So we're going to take it to the other side now, so just letting go of that left knee, bringing feet to the floor, probably bending both knees is the best way to get into the pose. Then going to bring the right knee in towards the chest, taking hold of the right knee, and allow that left leg to bend out straighten out. Allowing the body to relax here, becoming still. If you find your mind has wandered and you're thinking about what you've done today or what you need to do today, just try to bring your attention back to the target area that we're working. Front of the thigh, right at the top of the hip. Notice what you're feeling in that area. And as you breathe in, imagine you're sending that fresh oxygen to that area of the body. And notice how that helps you to relax that area. It's amazing how when we just focus our attention on a particular area as we breathe, the tension there starts to dissolve and we can begin to relax. Okay, and releasing the right leg now to the floor, both feet to the floor, and just lifting the hips to remove your prop out the way. Allowing yourself to extend the legs and just lying in a comfortable position for our rebound. Feeling or noticing the sensations that you're feeling across the front of the hips. Maybe feeling a little tingly there, perhaps a sense of some energy movement. We're going to move straight into our next position from lying on the back. So we're going to bend the knees again, feet to the floor. We're going to bring the left ankle on top of the right knee. So we're going to be working the glutes, the back of the hips and buttocks here. So for some people this will be enough of a stretch already, they'll be feeling it there. If you'd like a little more, then you can take hold of the right leg either behind the knee or above the knee. And just pulling in towards your chest until you feel that stretch in the back of the left hip and buttocks. You might like to try exploring just tilting your hips slightly to the left or the right to see where you feel that best stretch. And as I said, you certainly don't have to be looking like either Andrew or myself in this pose. Just want to find wherever you're feeling something in the back of that left hip. And once you've found that position, becoming still, allowing the body to relax here. And using a little bit of arm strength to perhaps hold that right knee. But so far as you can, the rest of the body, just allow yourself to relax. So just a couple more breaths in this pose now. Big inhale and exhale. And then releasing the right leg, allowing the foot to come to the floor, both feet to the floor. Just taking a moment before we switch to the other side. So this time we'll be working on the right hip and buttock, so bringing the right ankle on top of the left knee. Remaining here if this is enough for you. Or you can take hold of the left back of the thigh or top of the shin. Bringing that left leg in towards the body to allow you to feel something in the back of the right thigh, leg, buttock. Maybe just rocking gently from side to side to find your spot. And then relaxing the body and becoming still. As we spend time in these postures, we sometimes find that our edge moves. We don't get the same sensation that we got at the start of the pose. And so if you need to adjust to perhaps bring the knee in a little more to feel that again in the back of that right hip, then you can do so. Or if you find that while you're in the posture, the sensation becomes too intense and you really feel like you need to move out of the pose, then just release a little, maybe bringing that left foot to the floor. You never want to be in a position where you're causing pain or injury to yourself, and so I'd really encourage you or invite you to take responsibility for your own practice. Don't just remain in a pose because we're still in the pose or because I'm telling you to be still in the pose. If you're feeling serious discomfort, a little bit of discomfort is quite normal, but if you're really feeling pain or you're thinking you may be causing injury, then by all means come out and just come back to a comfortable position lying on the mat. Everybody is different, so we need to make sure that we take into consideration those differences in our own body. So releasing now, foot comes to the mat, right foot down to the mat as well, and then just extending the legs, coming back into another rebound. So becoming comfortable, turning your attention to the back of the thighs, hips and buttocks, noticing what you're feeling right now. And moving again now, we're going to again remain lying on our back. We're going to come into a stretch for the side body. So bringing the arms up above the head, perhaps taking hold of opposite elbows. We're going to move the head and shoulders towards the right hand side of the mat. So just shuffling across to the right. And then once you're there, we're going to move the legs to the right as well. So walking them across to the right until you get a stretch right the way down the side of the left side of the body. We're stretching out through the obliques, the IT band running down the side of the thigh, maybe even up into the shoulder. Some people find it difficult to remain in this sort of banana shape. So one way you can help keep your feet in place is to cross one ankle over the other. That just locks the position in place. If you put your right leg on top, in this case, you're going to be helping remain in the position. If you try with your left leg on top, that might give you a little bit of extra stretch down the left side of the body. However you are, just trying to keep that left hip on the mat. Breathing into the side body. could try adjusting the position of your head here to see what impact that has on the pose. So turning the head to the left or to the right. Remembering any adjustments we make, we're looking to make sure that we're feeling something in the pose. So you can sometimes make adjustments that lessen the stretch, or sometimes they can increase the stretch. So just making sure that you're getting to the position that is an edge for you. It's a comfortable stretch that you can hold. Okay, and moving slowly back to the center now. Arms remain above the head. We're going to take this right to the other side. So shuffling your head and shoulders over to the left. And then walking the legs also to the left. Feeling a stretch down the right hand side of the body. Remembering if you want a little more or you need to lock your legs in place, then you can cross the ankles. Left on top will lock your leg in place. Right on top will give you a little more stretch. Trying to keep that right side of the hip on the mat though. And then becoming still. So one more breath in this pose now. And we're going to bring the body back to the center again. Just lying straight down your mat, bringing the body back to a neutral position. Taking a minute here to notice the sensations down either side of the body. going to come into our final posture today, now before our Shavasana. So I'm going to do a spinal twist to finish off. So bringing both knees up again. Bring your knees in towards your chest. And then we're just going to allow the knees to fall to the right hand side. So both knees coming towards the right. You might need to adjust your hips a little here. Arms can come out to either side, maybe up above the head, or you could just keep them on the body, whatever is most comfortable. We're twisting all the way through the spine here by turning your head away from the knees, so towards the left-hand side. We take that twist right up into the cervical spine, the neck. You're probably feeling something through the muscles in the side of the body as well, the obliques, and maybe even in the hip of the top leg. You can choose to remain here, or if you'd like to take the twist a little deeper, then you can straighten the bottom leg. So top leg remains bent, bottom leg can just straighten out down the mat, and that will allow the top knee to fall a little further towards the floor and just increase that twist a bit. So whichever option you've taken, just becoming still. Twists are a lovely way to finish our practice. Sort of ringing out right through the length of the torso. Moving slowly, we're going to come back to center. Moving to the other side. So again, let's start with both knees. Bringing both knees into the chest. Allowing them to fall to the left this time. Adjusting the position of the hips if you need to. Finding a comfortable position for your arms, either on the body, out to the side, or up above the head. For some people, when they bring their arms above the head, they can get a bit of tingling in the fingers. And if that's the case, it's better just to bring them back down to the side or even onto the body. That tingling can indicate that we've pinched a nerve or putting some compression on a nerve in the neck, and so it's better to relieve that if you can. Again, if you'd like to take the twist a little deeper, then you can do so by straightening the bottom leg. Allowing the top knee to fall a little closer towards the ground. Some people might have their knee floating in air or their shoulder floating in the air, and if this is makes you feel uncomfortable, then you can support either one with a block, a bolster, a towel. But it's also okay if they're not touching the ground. If you're just floating in space, that's also okay. And finally, remembering that the position of the head can have an impact on the pose. So if you'd like to bring that twist up into the neck as well, then turning the head to the right will allow you to do that. But again, if that makes you uncomfortable, you just physically don't feel that you can twist in that direction, then keeping your head in a neutral position or even turning it to the left is also completely fine. We're focusing on the twist mostly through the middle part of the back, the thoracic spine. We're stretching through the side body, the oblique muscles, the fascia down the side of the body, maybe even down the side of the outside of the thigh into the IT band. And gently coming back to the center again now, letting go of this posture. We're coming straight into our final rebound, our Savasana. So just coming to a comfortable position lying on your mat. Ensuring that your arms and legs are in a comfortable position. Adjusting the shoulders if you need to. Throughout the course of our practice today, although it has been designed for people new to Yin or beginning Yin, we have actually worked a large proportion of the body. So we started with our toes and neck, moved on to our ankles and fronts of our thighs. We worked the inside of the thighs, the hips, the glutes, the hip flexors, the sides of the body, the obliques, and also right the way through the spine. So a full body Yin practice. So allow all those parts of your body now to completely relax. Breathing is normal. Attention focused inwards. Just noticing the effects of this practice on your body. For some people, the most challenging part of a Yin practice can be the stillness and quiet within a pose. So you will find, looking at our channel, that some of our practices include quite a bit of talking to really distract you while you're in a position to help the time go fast. But we also have some practices that are a lot quieter and allow time for personal reflection or just turning inward. So you'll find those in our playlist called Quiet Yin. And if you're comfortable with silence, then you might like to try those. Or if you'd like to learn a little bit more about what the Yin practice is doing to your body, then the majority of our other practices include lots of information and education about what this practice does for you. Just got one more minute in our Savasana now. I'm going to leave you in silence to enjoy this relaxation. If you've got some extra time today, you might like to remain in your Shavasana for a little longer. But if you'd like to conclude the practice with me, then starting to bring some awareness back to the body now. Maybe bringing some movement to the fingers and toes. Taking a bit of a stretch. And then gently coming back to a seated position. Thank you so much for joining this practice. I really hope that you've enjoyed this as a new Yin Yogi, or perhaps someone just wanting to learn a little bit more about Yin. If you've enjoyed the practice, we'd love you to hit the like button down below, or even subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you anything, but it really helps us ensure that our videos get seen. So thank you so much for joining us today. Namaste.